Milo Ventimiglia and Catherine Haena Kim are here to talk about the company you keep.
So, what do you do?
I'm a yoga instructor. You?
I'm a pageant queen turned rocket scientist.
I bet those pageants really prepared you for NASA, though.
Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
Milo and I talked a few weeks ago. I've seen a few episodes. I'm hooked. I want to see what's happening. I'm already rooting for this couple, Emma and Charlie. There's such a nice chemistry there, even though they're coming from very different places. Catherine, I'll talk to you first about that. Just how challenging is this for Emma? I'm guessing eventually she's going to realize who Charlie actually is.
Oh boy. Yes. I mean, I think nothing's going to be what you think it's going to be. And I think that's part of this fun ride that is the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to keep people kind of on the edge of their seats guessing. I mean, I'm guessing as I continue to read scripts. So
yeah, and we're getting into the show a lot from Charlie's side of things with his family and that whole side of things. Will we get to know more about Emma as far as her personal life and maybe her family life? Do we get into that?
absolutely. I think the most fascinating things that I've learned about CIA officers in my research is that they're just human beings and they're doing these insanely high stakes, extraordinary things, and also just being human and late to something because they couldn't find a babysitter. And in the same vein, it's like you see her be the kid sister at home and have a mom that is a lot, and you see her navigating love in a way for the first time because she's never felt this way before. And also just, figuring out work and figuring out life.
Okay. Milo, talk to me about what happens to Charlie when he does get a romantic life. Somebody enters his life. How does that upend everything else he's got juggling with the family and the business?
Much like Emma's CIA work, Charlie's a criminal. And those are two professions that typically people aren't talking about very much. So I think Charlie's choice of partner, romantic partner, like we see in the beginning of the show, Tina, his fiance who cons him and leaves him, she was also a criminal. He doesn't know that Emma's CIA, but he's going with where his heart is leading him. And I think that's the complication that happens for Charlie. He's someone who was born into this life, never chose the life, but he happens to be really good at this life. So what happens when you do meet your romantic match, your partner that you should be with, but it comes with all the complications that conflict with your world that you've known for 40 plus years as a human being, as a man. So that's the struggle. That's Charlie's, yoke around his neck that he's got to somehow find a way to turn in his direction.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What is each character's moral center at the start of the series, and how is that moral center challenged throughout? Catherine, let me start with you for Emma.
I think for her, she just wants to do whatever is right, whatever that means. And I think she does live in a little bit more of a black and white world, which does get turned upside down, especially in meeting Charlie. I
was going to say, and also too, who's good and who's bad here?
Right.
It depends on which lens you're looking through. Her profession in the CIA, there's a lot of good for the nation that the CIA has to do in a clandestine world, but it would be questionable to anybody else. Whereas in Charlie's world, their moral compass, their moral center of, hey, we're taking from people who are taking advantage of others in a not so good way. Who's right, who's wrong? I think that black and white world, as the season progresses, Jim, it starts to get a little gray. And I think the questioning on both sides of, is what Emma does as a CIA officer truly good, empirically good, or is the way Charlie's approaching things maybe the real undercurrent of the way to be?
Because I think also, you could say they both lie for a living. They just have different ways of justifying it.
Sounds like actors.
Exactly. It does. And both your characters would have to be good at keeping secrets because they find things out. They have to do things with. In your real lives, are you personally good at keeping secrets? Or you're both shaking your head?
At all. It's something I really should work on. You always know what you're gonna get with me. So
yeah, I think I keep to myself a lot, but when I trust somebody, I open up completely. And you know, you kind of have to. I think for any kind of partnership, romantic, friendship, intellectual or other, you know, when you do find those people that you trust, when you find those people that trust you, and there is that reciprocity back and forth, then I think you have to open up. I think you have to be completely honest and not be afraid of what's on the other side of that.
Okay. Okay. Last question.
Jim is
There
like,
is
"Man, that got heavy.
I like it.
Geez.
Life
I know.
lessons.
I'm used to talking to Milo. I know where it goes.
Yeah, no, yeah. Jim and I got
We
you.
know.
Yeah.
Last question. There is a comedic element to the show. There's some nice light moments that I really like. What are your personal favorite romantic comedies? Do you have any that come to mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Man, I mean, listen, I was kind of always a fan. I was a bit younger, but had to like catch up on it later, like Moonlighting. There's something great about what was going on Moonlighting, or even not to throw back to, you know, my previous boss, Dan Fogelman, but Crazy Stupid Love, you know, or even in the world like the Ocean's 11, where like there's some serious stakes, but yet you're along for the ride. You're having a good time with it. Those are some of mine.
Yeah, those are good ones. Catherine?
Gosh, I love so many of them. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days comes to mind. They're just fun and silly, and you always want to root for them.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. You guys, congratulations on the show. Always a pleasure.
Click the subscribe button under this video and watch The Company You Keep starting February 19th on ABC.